Alright, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you tonight with a fight review. So we're going to Tokyo, Japan for RIZIN 35. We're going to the Super Atomweight division, 108 pounds, 49 kilograms. We're going to the Super Atomweight Championship. Ayaka Hamasaki, the champ, coming in at 23-4, taking on the challenger Seika Izawa, coming in at 5-0. And this is actually a rematch. These two fought on New Year's Eve at RIZIN 33 in a non-title bout where Izawa absolutely blew Hamasaki away, scoring a TKO in the second round, shocking the world, certainly shocking, JMMA and WMMA fans who just thought, yeah, Izawa looks good, but she's not going to beat Hamasaki. Not this early in her career at only 4-0, but she absolutely blew Hamasaki away. So now, RIZIN, their promoters are smart. They turned it right around and said, well, we'll do it again. This time we have to put the title on the line, and that's what they did. So let's get down into this fight. So first round, Hamasaki caught an Izawa kick, and Izawa, instead of fighting it off, kind of jumped for a guillotine, held it for a little bit, and then let it go. And then there was a nice exchange of low kicks and some long distance punches. Both of them were really far out to really land. Then Izawa got her first takedown of the fight, past Hamasaki's guard. But Hamasaki, she's always deft, always looking for that double wrist lock. Kimura, and deftly used it to scramble to get on top. But Seika Izawa, she's always attacking. So she used her high guard, kind of like a triangle, but really kept that high guard up there, kept it locked down tight, throwing strikes in the bottom. Hamasaki, though, she was able to get out of it, so she decided to stand, stood over the supine. Izawa, kicked her legs for a bit. Eventually, Izawa stood. Immediately decided to work for another takedown, but wasn't able to get it before the bell ends. So non-stop action that first round. So we go into the second round, and they start throwing punches. Then Izawa decided to shoot. She gets Hamasaki down, and but Hamasaki was able to work back to half guard, and then Izawa was able to pass to side control, and then from side control went to north-south. Hamasaki, though, she stayed calm, like she always does. She doesn't get, worked up. Managed to get the turtle guard, and then as she stood up, started eating some knees from Izawa. Izawa, though, was like, no, I'm not going to let you stand up for too long, and got Hamasaki back down, started landing knees to Hamasaki's face. And then Izawa, she puts on a tight neck crank. I mean, this is a pretty tight neck crank as she tried to get to mount. And Hamasaki, Izawa eventually kind of let go of the neck crank, and I don't know how Hamasaki did it, but she scrambled again, and Izawa went straight for the armbar from bottom. Worked it for a little bit, but Hamasaki was able to get out of it to stand back up. Basically, that was the end of the second round. So we're going to the third and final round. And it was Hamasaki managed to get the first takedown in this round. Got the takedown pretty much immediately to the north-south position. And Hamasaki, very smart on top. This time she was putting on some heavy top pressure. She did not want to give Izawa a single inch of room to work for a submission from the bottom. Hamasaki got Izawa's right arm and started stretching it out. She was, shifted to the side, going for the arm bar, started stretching out. Izawa was fighting it. Let me tell you something. This battle for this arm bar, it was pretty epic. I mean, Izawa just fighting it. Hamasaki just trying to stretch it. Eventually, Hamasaki was able to break the grip of Izawa, stretch that arm out. But, man, words cannot describe how epic this sequence was. Izawa immediately twisted it and kind of turned and spun her body, gets out of it almost as immediately as Hamasaki stretches it. Izawa's out and is now on top of Hamasaki. It was that fast. And then she starts landing some knees to the Hamasaki's face again, because she had Hamasaki trapped against the ropes at that point, which unfortunately for Hamasaki, she was trying for the arm bar. She was kind of right there against the ropes. So as soon as Izawa got out in reverse position, Hamasaki was kind of trapped against the ropes. And then Izawa, she's absolutely crazy. When I say she's always on the attack, she's always on the attack. Basically, hops on Hamasaki and goes for an inverted triangle and tries to tighten it up, but Hamasaki was able to get out of that as well and escape to side control, and then got to half guard, and then Hamasaki stayed in half guard and just threw elbows to Izawa's body to finish out the round. So this was non-stop action again, just like their first fight. So it goes to the judges. All three awarded via unanimous decision for the winner and new RIZIN Super Atomweight champion, Seika Izawa. So, Izawa did it again, everyone. She did it again. I mean, not as much of a shocker this time, and she wasn't able to get a finish this time, but absolutely beat one of the best atomweights in the world, probably the best atomweight in the world up until Izawa beat her. Izawa's just that gifted on the ground. And listen, when I tell you there was high-level grappling in this fight, it was absolutely high level. Now, it wasn't like super hard to follow, like you kind of knew what each of them were doing, but man, the way they would just escape and the way they would scramble, and especially the way Izawa just attacks and starts and change things together. It's a beauty to watch. Like these two, I would watch them fight 5 more times because the grappling between these two was just as great. So there's 2 big questions coming out of this fight. One of them is, where does Seika Izawa go next? And we're going to talk about that in a second, but honestly, at 2 years in her career, 5-0, already was a deep jewel strawweight champ, or is a deep jewel strawweight champ. She's now the RIZIN Super Atomweight champ. Where does she go from here? I think she's going to have a hard time finding fights right now. And then the other question to answer is about Ayaka Hamasaki, Hamachamp. You know, is she over the hill finally at 40 years old? Or does Izawa just have her number? Because we've never seen Hamasaki handled quite like this. The closest would be at strawweight back in Invicta when she faced Claudia Gadelha. Gadelha was able to really, get her down and control her on the ground, but it was nowhere near, what Izawa has been able to do to Hamasaki. So you got to wonder, is Hamasaki at 40 years old? Is she finally over the hill? Or is it that Izawa is just that good? Because the last fighter to beat Hamasaki before Izawa was Sahi Ham, and that was in a split decision. Whereas Izawa now has finished Hamasaki once and then beat her in a decision the second time. I guess we're just going to have to find out. So for things to work on, normally I can come up with a few things for each fighter. These two are just such high level, and the way they fought was just really well. The only thing I really have would be for Izawa. Obviously, she's still learning. She's still practically a beginner in the sport. I mean, she's had 6 fights so far. She's still got to work on her striking, obviously. On the ground, she's almost without peer, but she really needs to work on her striking. It is just absolutely novice level. So just for Izawa, just to keep working on the ground. For fights to make, this is where things get dicey. So, foreigners can finally come to Japan again. And there's talk about RIZIN possibly doing another Super Atomweight Grand Prix this year. Now, they did one back in, I want to say 2017 was when they did it the first time. Got to have Hamasaki get back in there and get into that Grand Prix. I mean, it's the only way you're really going to be able to justify, giving her another title shot. If she still wants to be a champion again, she's got to get in that Grand Prix and she's got to win it. For Izawa, she's got a few options. She could possibly do the Grand Prix herself. No reason for the champ not to do it other than to say, I mean, if they say, well, the winner of the Grand Prix gets a title shot, well, then Izawa will have to sit out. But if they don't say that, then there's no reason Izawa shouldn't get involved in that. Another option I'd like to see is I'd like to see her take on the current Invicta Atomweight champ, Jessica Del Boni. Now, Del Boni seems to not want to go anywhere near RIZIN. She mentioned in an interview that she doesn't, want to give up the advantages, any, disadvantages, basically giving the excuse that she doesn't want to fight in a cage, she doesn't want to fight under RIZIN's rules, which to me is kind of cowardly, but kind of smart. I mean, why give up any, advantages to your opponent? So, Izawa could challenge Del Boni, but she'd have to go to Invicta to do it. Which I think Izawa would be more than willing to do it. And I'd say, if anything, that makes Izawa the braver champ because she'd be the one traveling to a foreign country for the first time to take on a champion. So that'd be a good one. Make Izawa versus Del Boni in Invicta. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this. The RIZIN 35 Super Atomweight Championship. Seika Izawa defeating Ayaka Hamasaki, this time claiming the championship via unanimous decision. Let me know your thoughts on the bout in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it as well, helps the channel grow. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to Wmma Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.